Solid Tales, History Uncovered. Everyone thinks Germany dominated early World War II because of Blitzkrieg tactics or Krupp steel, but they're all missing the real secret. The truth, a tiny, often ignored country literally kept the entire Third Reich alive. We're talking about the ultimate support class of the Axis powers, Romania. When the Allied navies choked off Germany's supply lines, Romania became Hitler's single, indispensable blood bank. They supplied the oil, the food, and the bodies. How massive was this lifeline? In 1941 alone, Romania pumped 3.5 million tons of crude oil directly into the Nazi war machine. Picture this, that is enough fuel to run 40,000 German Panzer V tanks, non-stop, for an entire year. It covered more than half of Germany's total oil needs. Over the course of the war, Romania handed Hitler over 10 million tons of oil. They were literally refilling 1/3 of Germany's health bar every single year. And they didn't just bleed oil, they bled men. Romania threw over 1.2 million soldiers into the Eastern Front, suffering over 800,000 casualties. They sent more troops than all other Axis satellite states combined. People love to joke about Italy being a terrible ally. But compared to Romania, Italy wasn't even in the same league. So why? Why did a country of 20 million people willingly turn itself into Nazi Germany's ultimate cannon fodder? To understand this, we have to rewind. After World War I, Romania was actually living the dream. They annexed massive territories and doubled their size, population approaching 20 million. They proudly called themselves Greater Romania, but there was a catch. This new megastate was a powder keg stuffed with ethnic tensions, corrupt politicians, and rising extremism. Worse, they were a fat sheep completely surrounded by wolves. The Soviets wanted Bessarabia back. Germany was drooling over their oil. Hungary wanted Transylvania. Bulgaria wanted Dobruja. Panicking, Romania begged the British Empire for protection. But in 1938, Britain sold out Czechoslovakia to Hitler at Munich. Romania watched in horror. Czechoslovakia was their main arms dealer. If Britain would sell them out, Romania was doomed. In 1939, King Carol II practically crawled to Berlin, begging for an alliance. Hitler brushed him off like a peasant. Then came the nightmare. June 1940. Stalin delivers a 24-hour ultimatum: hand over Bessarabia and northern Bukovina, or we open fire. Romania screamed to Germany for help. Hitler's reply: give it up. He had already secretly promised that land to Stalin in the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Overnight, Romania was forced to amputate 50,000 square kilometers of their own country. 3 million citizens gone. Refugees choked the freezing mud roads. It was a national humiliation. And it got worse. Just 2 months later, Hitler forced Romania to give up another 43,000 square kilometers of Transylvania to Hungary. In 3 months, Romania lost 1/3 of its territory and 1/5 of its population. Furious, terrified of Russia, and betrayed by Germany, the Romanian people snapped. They needed a scapegoat, and in the most despicable twist of fate, they found the Jews. Propaganda violently claimed Jewish traitors sold them out to the Soviets. The reality, out of 505 officials recruited by the Soviets, only 69 were Jewish, less than 14%. But facts don't matter to a hysterical mob. Romania descended into a rabid, state-sanctioned wave of anti-Semitism that would eventually lead to the deaths of over 400,000 Jews. They walked right into the Nazi trap. Enter General Ion Antonescu. He took over the country as a dictator, crushed his rivals, and made a Faustian bargain with Hitler. His logic was brutal but simple. Germany is the only country strong enough to fight the Soviets. If we are fiercely loyal, they will protect us. Plus, Germany is so addicted to our oil, they have to defend us. Antonescu tied Romania to the Nazi ship. They would sink or swim together. He passed vicious anti-Jewish laws, stole their wealth, and Hitler, smiling, welcomed his new puppet. Nazi swastikas were soon flying over Romanian oil rigs. Then came 1941, Operation Barbarossa. Romania unleashed 320,000 men into Ukraine, calling it a holy war of liberation. They fought so fiercely that even German generals were surprised by their ferocity, but their loyalty bought them a ticket to hell. At the siege of Odessa, 340,000 Romanian troops were ordered to smash into heavily fortified Soviet bunkers. For 73 agonizing days, with almost no German ground support, they threw human wave after human wave at concrete. They won, but at the horrifying cost of 93,000 casualties. For every Soviet soldier killed, 3 Romanians died. Then the ultimate disaster, Stalingrad, 1942. Antonescu sent 220,000 men to guard the flanks of the German Sixth Army. Equipped with World War I-era rifles, almost no anti-tank guns, and no winter clothing, they froze in the sub-zero Russian steppe. When the Soviet Operation Uranus hit, the Romanian lines didn't just break, they vaporized. 2 entire field armies were wiped off the map in 3 days. 150,000 men were slaughtered or captured. Most of the prisoners would die in Siberian labor camps. Romania's offensive army was dead. Hitler stopped treating them like allies. Now, they were just guard dogs for his oil wells. Waking up to the reality that following Hitler meant total annihilation, Romania panicked. In 1943, they secretly begged the US and UK, "We will surrender immediately, just don't let the Soviets occupy us." By spring 1944, the Western Allies agreed, "Overthrow your dictator and you're free." But Stalin was playing his own game. He didn't want a free Romania, he wanted the whole prize. He deliberately stalled the negotiations, waiting for his armies to get closer. August 1944. The Red Army smashes through the Prot River. The front collapses in just 3 weeks. Realizing they had been betrayed again, the Romanian king launched a desperate coup, arrested Antonescu, and declared war on Germany, hoping to appease Stalin. Stalin didn't care. Under the guise of Allied operations, the Soviets violently occupied the entire country. The surviving Romanian troops were instantly drafted into the Soviet army and forced to march west in just 8 months of fighting for their new Soviet masters. Another 100,000 Romanians were killed or wounded in brutal battles like Debrecen and Prague. They had absolutely no say in their own fate. Romania was played, betrayed, and ground into dust. They fueled the German Blitzkrieg, held the most dangerous lines, and paid with almost 1 million lives, only to be swallowed whole by the Soviets anyway. It is the ultimate brutal lesson of geopolitics. When a middleweight country blindly chains itself to a superpower, it doesn't become a partner, it becomes a consumable. Some historians say Romania was the Eastern Front's greatest accomplice. Others say they were its most tragic pawn. What do you think? Were they villains who chose to side with evil? Or were they just desperate people trapped between 2 murderous dictatorships? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more untold stories from World War II, hit that subscribe button. History Uncovered. Subscribe to SolidTales.